I've been matchmaking all my life. I introduced my best friend and his wife. I introduced my program director, Kevin Drosch, to Inhala. And now I'm going to match you with Inhala. Yes, you two should sleep together. Skip the sleep center. Avoid the CPAP machine. Get in bed with Inhala. It's a custom-fit oral appliance. There's no bulky hoses or uncomfortable mask. Inhala works with your private medical insurance and makes the process seamless. I talked to the people at Inhala.com, and they're going to help you just like they helped out Kevin and his fiancée. She'll finally be able to sleep through the night while Kevin is using Inhala. Follow Kevin's sleep journey right here on 77 WABC. Now is the time for a treatment that is right for you. Visit Inhala.com or call 844-INHALA-1. That's 844-INHALA-1. So like my program director, Kevin, skip the sleep center, avoid the CPAP machine, get in bed with Inhala. Inhala.com, INHALA.com.
ABC January 8th. Tim Allen and Kat Dennings star in the new family comedy Shifting Gears.
Dad, I'm broke and I need a place to stay until I figure out what the rest of my life looks like.
So, a couple of days.
When his daughter moves back in.
The last time you walked out that door, you looked back at me and gave me a double bird.
I was 18. The double bird was how I ended all our conversations.
The wheels come off.
Can we try to talk to each other like rational adults?
Have you watched the news lately? That's not a thing anymore.
Series premiere Wednesday, January 8th on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Now, his title this week is our correspondent from the great island of Aruba. And we have Craig Eaton. How are you, Craig?
Good morning, John and Curtis. Once again, it's great to call in. It's always great to be on the radio with you and everyone else on the station. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And it's a tough act today, John, because you got me following the great Congressman Peter King. He's a tough act to follow.
He's a good guy, too. I mean, we're over here pulling out our hair. Why are the politicians, why are they supporting 3,300 criminals in New York City instead of supporting 8.5 million people in New York City that want to have a quality of life?
You know what, John, I was listening to what you were discussing before with Curtis and Peter King about the prosecutors and their actions and inactions and all the problems that they're created. But we can't forget the fact that many of the problems we're facing with crime and lawlessness in the city and state of New York today are a direct result of the lack of leadership from the New York State Senate and the New York State Assembly by imposing these ridiculous laws, which are so pro-criminal and so anti-prosecution and anti-police. And unless they change them and give the police officers and the judges and the prosecutors the tools that they need to properly prosecute and incarcerate these defendants, it's going to continue for years into the future.
So, for instance, Craig Eaton, this whole concept of discovery that I hear from prosecutors, there's not enough time for them to prepare all the information that they have to turn over to a criminal defense attorney, whether it's private or whether it's legal aid or whatever way the person is being represented. How has that changed so that the prosecutor is now at times having to have cases dismissed because they can't hand over the materials in time?
Well, the law changed back in 2020. They came out with a new law, and basically it was the Justice Act of 2020, and it said that the prosecutors are now required to turn over all of the discovery, their entire file. It's basically open case discovery. You have to turn over every piece of evidence you have within a very, very short timeline. And it depends if the person is arraigned, if they're incarcerated. It goes from 15 days to 20 days to 35 days. And you have to share all of this information with the defense attorney within a very small time frame. And it's impossible because you have a very small budget for these district attorney's office. They have thousands and thousands of cases for each assistant DA, and the criminal defense attorneys don't have half the caseload that the prosecutors have. So it's impossible. And what it does is it leads to discovery. It leads to dismissal.
So, Craig,
the prosecutor doesn't.
As an example, let's say I did a home invasion of your home while you're in Aruba. Courteously, I get caught. I'm arraigned by the DA. I get a court-appointed attorney. I have a right to come to the supposed scene of the crime, walk in your house with my attorney, stare at you, your wife, your kids, because I've been accused of breaking into your house. Is that correct?
That is correct, but it even gets worse than that, Curtis.
My God! I mean, that is crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. But the prosecutors also, in addition to the short time frame within which they have to release all this discovery information, which is almost an impossibility with the caseload they're dealing with, they also have to exchange the name and address and information as to the victim, and even worse, they have to disclose the name and contact information for all the witnesses to the crime and all the witnesses that the district attorneys plan on calling. Now, think about it. You're a victim of a gangbang assault or a gangbang robbery or some kind of gang-related crime. Are you going to want to put, if you're the victim or you're the witness, do you want to put yourself and your family's lives at risk of harm, knowing that this gang is going to now know where you live and what your name is and where you work? It's forcing people to close their eyes and their ears and say, I'm not getting involved. They don't want to cooperate with the prosecutors. They don't want to cooperate with the police because they fear retribution. They fear harm to their family from all these violent criminals. So what the legislature actually did was they made it so hard for the police officers, the prosecutors, and the judges to properly indict, convict, and incarcerate these defendants.
Yeah, and then also during the trial process, if it ever goes to trial, if it isn't plea bargained out, the police, the detectives are with you. The moment the case is ended, you're on your own. Even if all of a sudden the threats and the threats of intimidation and revenge come in, you're on your own. So as you just so aptly pointed out, people in the streets know that you could end up pinning a crime on somebody and being a good citizen who seed something, said something, but if they don't have your back afterwards, you're on your own, and they'll retaliate against your family, your business. They'll slash your cars. They'll come up to you. They'll put a gun to your head and say, you're lucky I don't have a bullet in the gun right now, and you're left on your own.
Once that case is over, these detectives are going to the next case, and God knows there's lots and lots of cases coming in every day. But you know what, Curtis and John? My son and his wife were both prosecutors in Brooklyn for about 8 years. And they witnessed firsthand the change in the way the cases were prosecuted, the way the cases were investigated, the intake, and most importantly, the way the changes have been implemented in the district attorney's office because of the Justice 2022 Act and the 2020 laws. And unless we, as citizens of the New York State and New York City, reach down and look at who we're electing to our state assembly and state senate and send messages to them that we are afraid in our communities. We don't want to ride the subways. We don't want to walk our streets at night. Unless you send a message to them that if you don't make New York City and New York State safer, we're going to vote you out of office. Unless we send that message, these laws are just going to continue to protect the criminals, And on the other end, today, look at all these political prosecutions. You're not innocent till proven guilty anymore. You're guilty at the time that they investigate you. You're guilty at the time they indict you. There's no more, rights to the criminal defendants anymore.
All right. Well, Craig Eaton, do appreciate your input from the sunny island of Aruba. Enjoy the rest of your time away, because pretty soon you're going to get back into New York City, and it is a hot mess.
Well, I'm looking forward to Tuesday to coming back in the studio. So God bless everyone. Happy and a healthy New Year, John, to you and Margo and the kids. Curtis, you and your wife and family, and God bless America. And let's just hope for the best in this coming year.
Well, we brought back America. We're going to bring back the free world. Let's bring back our inner cities.
Well, thank you for all you guys do and WABC does to make this city and state and country a better place to live.
Thank you.